Hello, SpongicX's here. Well, with the announcement of Sora being added to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, this marks a bittersweet end to an era. A game that celebrated previous generations of Nintendo's all-star fighting crossover. What started off as a standalone fighting party game turned into a massive hit when replaced with mascots from the NES through N64 era. Over the years, it became a bigger crossover when it added guest characters from Konami's Metal Gear Solid and Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog. Suddenly, Nintendo was able to get interest from other third-party developers like Capcom, Bandai Namco, Platinum Games, Square Enix, and even Microsoft and Disney, with the inclusion of Banjo-Kazooie and Sora from Kingdom Hearts. Sadly for many Super Smash Bros. Fans, this is it. After 3 years worth of additional DLC updates, the game is finally complete, with no word on additional minor updates like more spirits and such. Sakurai himself seems to be done with this series, and the man deserves a long rest after all the work he's put up with over these past couple of decades. Many people think without Sakurai, the series is over with forever. While it may be the end of Ultimate and Sakurai's time with Smash Bros., I don't think it means the end of Smash Bros. Whether it takes another console or just a few more years, I doubt Nintendo is ready to let go of their biggest moneymaker. As long as Nintendo can find a dedicated and competent team to take over, then I think Super Smash Bros. Can still have a bright future ahead. Of course, we'll probably never get another entry like Ultimate, meaning we won't get nearly as many fighters or stages from the last entry. Super Smash Bros. Will have big shoes to fill to make up for a lack of nearly 90 characters or stages. However, many have argued that Smash Bros. Ultimate was lacking in additional content, modes, features, and quality improvements. That's where a sequel should focus on the most. As much as I love Super Smash Bros., I've had many nitpicks over the years on having expectations crushed by underwhelming features or lack thereof. So in this video, I want to brainstorm some ideas I'd love to see in other Smash games that we might get down the line. This video is not made to shame Sakurai for the way he made the games or some of the questionable decisions he might have made. It's just my opinion on how I think a great series could be even greater. Anyways, let's get started on this list. The first improvement I would love to do with this game series would be to rehaul the graphics entirely, to fully utilize the HD visuals. As one who was excited for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U being the first entry in HD, I was very underwhelmed by how it looked in the end. It did not look like a huge improvement over what we saw in Brawl. In fact, you could argue some of it looked kind of worse than the details you saw in both Melee or Brawl. There were some characters who looked a lot better with the transition to HD, like Link from The Legend of Zelda. I thought he looked impressive on the Wii U, even better than his Breath of the Wild inspired design they used for Ultimate, but then there are characters like Fox or Pikachu where I think they look worse with the HD graphics. It doesn't feel like they did enough to try to make the models look better or more detailed. They still look pretty low poly, and they just don't have as good of textures as they might have had even in Melee or Brawl. I was never a fan of Fox's Brawl design, which seemed to be heavily inspired by his deformed look from Star Fox Command. I was hoping the Wii U would fix it, make him look a little fuzzier and stuff, but unfortunately they did not. He looked about exactly the same as he did in Brawl, and that was kind of disappointing. I wish they chose a design inspired by one of his cooler designs, like in Adventures, Assault, or even Melee. That would have been even better. Even the levels could have looked a bit better. Many of them still use muddy GameCube-era looking textures, and while they try using better lighting, I feel like it just doesn't work. Nintendo's console just isn't powerful enough to run these lighting or shading engines that they use in games that were made more for like Xbox One or PlayStation 4. I mean, you look at so many games that come out on the same console, and you can see how, like, when you're looking at like the Wii U or Switch versions, the shading looks very pixelated compared to how smooth it looks on an Xbox or a PlayStation. So a lot of these shading effects just look too pixelated and jittery, or the lighting might be too strong to the point where it overpowers some of the textures to where it's hard to see like the character's facial expressions, or just these little details that make the games look more lively. Melee's graphics may have aged a lot, but I still think its lighting and shading looks a lot smoother than the ones you see on Wii U or Switch. This is an issue that Nintendo may not be able to fix soon. They'd have to start making newer consoles with more powerful graphics and hardware to run such better looking visuals. Unfortunately, I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon, Nintendo seems to have stated many times that they're not interested in being on par with Microsoft or Sony. They just want to do their own thing. And so I guess we're stuck with these ugly pixelated shading graphics for quite a number of years to come. I also feel the game could use some improved animations, better stage environments, and destruction physics. While the animations in Smash Bros. Gets the job done, I'd love to see less stiff movements and more fluid movements from some of the characters. Maybe more emotions and expressions from the characters as well. It was neat how the Wii U and 3DS gave the characters crazier emotions when they got hit, like Donkey Kong's eyes bulging out when he gets hit, but it would have been nice to see more emotions from their idle animations, their taunts and such. It was kind of sad to see how every game since the 3DS and Wii U version got kind of lazier with its visuals. Ever since Melee, many of the characters had well-sculpted 3D mouths on their faces, with characters like Pikachu and Jigglypuff. In the modern games, they didn't bother modeling their mouths anymore, and instead drew them on as textures. It feels less lively if the mouth's constantly switching textures, instead of fluidly molding from one shape to another. While Smash Bros. Has had a history of great stages, I feel a lot of them are too samey, or kind of boring. Too many stages are basically just clones of Battlefield or Final Destination, which is pointless since modern games give us an option to turn any stage into a Battlefield or Final Destination-esque stage. Too many levels have us fighting on a bland-looking panel or platform, floating far beyond a gorgeous background, enough to leave some players asking, why can't we fight on that gorgeous background instead? Why are we fighting miles away from it? I'd rather fight down in the Animal Crossing village, not far above it. Hell, remember that awesome Rathalos boss fight in Ultimate? Remember that big open field we gotta fight in? How come that wasn't a stage we gotta fight in? How come it was only used for a boss fight? We need more levels like that, more big, gorgeous environments instead of small, floating platforms. I feel like the series needs less tiny stages and more open environments with eye-catching details and obstacles. They don't have to be too big like the Great Cave Offense or Palutena's Temple for say, but it would also be nice to get better transition stages and options. Stages like Isle Delfino can be fun at first, where it transports you from one familiar part of Mario Sunshine to another, but it can be annoying with how frequently it happens, and how boring the ride is before it makes the next stop. Maybe some of us just want to fight on that one part where you're on the little island with the palm tree and stuff like that, but then all of a sudden it takes you away less than 30 seconds later and forces you to an area you don't want to fight on. I'm not saying they should get rid of the travel levels, but I think they should give us more options to make the operation of them more convenient for the players. For instance, let's say Isle Delfino returns in a future game. At the stage, you can press the X button to open a sub-menu, and it can show little thumbnails for the destinations of the stage. You can choose which one you want to start the stage out on. So if you want to fight on top of the Shine Sprite Tower, pick the thumbnail of the Shine Sprite Tower, and there you are. There could be additional options like how long it will take before it warps you from one end to another, and how long it can take for the warps to take effect. Or maybe you could even type in 0 seconds so the transitions don't happen at all, and so you're just stuck at the spawn point. And so for those who like fighting on a certain part of that level, let them fight on that certain part of the level with no interruptions. I feel like this form of accessibility would be a welcoming addition for all kinds of gamers. It can allow players to sit back and enjoy their favorite sections from their favorite levels without feeling rushed that it will disappear soon. I also feel like too many stages can feel too samey, whether it's another Mario level of blocky platforms and warp pipes, a Fire Emblem arena, a Pokemon Stadium, etc. I'd love to see them tackle level types that haven't been done yet, making the stages stand out more from one another. Instead of another Green Hill Zone level, let's get a level inspired by Emerald Coast from Sonic Adventure, where a whale occasionally shows up from the docks and destroys it. Let's see a level that pays homage to Bowser's Castle from the first Super Mario Bros., remade with 3D graphics and better textures, and featuring all the flaming death traps and the collapsing bridge. There's a huge catalog of stage types they have yet to tackle. What would an underwater stage feel like in a Smash Bros. Game? What about a snow level with detailed physics, like characters being able to push through the snow? I'd love to see more physics and graphic effects that can be used to enhance certain levels, more environmental effects. Imagine having a level where the characters are fighting in a storm, and you can see the rain dripping off the characters. It could make for some dramatic and intense looking battles. Whether it's sand, water, dirt, or snow, I would love to see some environmental damage or marks affect the characters depending on their surroundings. Similar to like what Mario Odyssey did. And so, with that out of the way, up next is possible gimmicks. there's one thing that Nintendo loves putting in their games, it's always a new gimmick to add a new spin to an existing project. For Super Smash Bros. Melee, they introduced trophies, missions, and adventure mode. For Brawl, it was Subspace Emissary Story Mode, saving photos to an SD card along with Stage Builder. For Wii U, it was the Enhanced Stage Builder, its HD graphics, Trophy Studio, Smash Tour, and touchscreen controls for editing photos. For 3DS, it was the portability, stereoscopic 3D, Smash Run, and optional cel-shaded outlines. With Ultimate's reliance on bringing back every fighter in most every past stage, it left little for more new gimmicks to be included. Sure, we got Spirits in World of Light, but many can argue that it paled in comparison to collecting trophies or the story mode from Subspace Emissary. I'd love for them to bring back trophies in the future, maybe even integrate the Spirit system into it. How cool would it be if the future entry allowed us to transfer all of our Spirits from Ultimate and convert them into 3D trophies as long as they were max leveled? They could charge us some in-game coins, give players a reason to keep playing and stock up in order to exchange to turn our Spirits into trophies. I can understand that not every Spirit would be compatible, but it would still be a neat feature to have most or at least some Spirits be compatible and convert into a 3D model. I think it would be neat to allow us to customize certain trophies as well, like changing their default poses and such. It would be great if they ever brought back the Wii U's Trophy Studio mode. That feature was great. It allowed us to drag and resize up to 4 trophies at a time and make epic or funny screenshots out of them. A feature that was sorely missing from the 3DS version and Ultimate. I think it would also be neat to have a separate mode called Super Smash Maker. It could be a replacement for many of the custom modes including Trophy Studio, Mii Fighter, and Stage Builder. In this mode, it gives players more tools and options to make their own custom Smash experience. Imagine if the game allowed us to unlock custom props by playing the game, similar to how you got to unlock trophies or spirits in the previous entries. So let's say like you just beat Classic Mode and all of a sudden you were given a prop, and it's Wispy Woods from the Green stage of Super Smash Bros. Melee. So what if you could take that prop and place it into any custom level you want? So, like, maybe you want to make a haunted, spooky forest level, and you want Wispy Woods to be the center of it, and so now you can. So, instead of him being in the bright green scenery, now he's in a darker, more intimidating scenery. What if you wanted the Great Fox to be floating above a more space-looking background instead of Corneria from Melee? Well, Smash Maker Stage Studio could be a great way of letting you do that and more. Instead of just drawing out the stages to be flat, sharp-edged outlines of thin 3D platforms, Stage Studio would allow players to use 3D shape tools to create the arenas themselves, and use unlockable textures from other stages to make our Dream Smash arenas look the way we want them to, changing the colors and many different textures. There were so many stages I wanted to make in Smash Bros. For Wii U or Ultimate, but I hated how limited it ended up making the stages look. There's so many times where I wanted to recreate my favorite levels from Mario 64 or Banjo-Kazooie, and they just didn't look right with the 2D limitations, and you couldn't draw additional textures or add certain graffiti onto the stages, so it just made the stages harder to recognize for some people. And I want the stages to be recognizable, where people can look at them and say, oh, it's that stage from that game, and I felt like Stage Builder really limited that, especially since most everything was made on a 2D plane. Well, what if a new Stage Builder used 3D planes to place the boundaries and spawn points for the 3D arenas we make? And that was one thing that even the original Stage Builder wouldn't let us do. It wouldn't let us drop our own custom spawn points. So there are so many times where it would spawn characters into death traps or places where they die immediately or get trapped even. And so I think not only would it be cool to give us like 3D camera control so we can properly, survey like a 3D environment and say where the limitations for where the characters can move would be. That would be great. I would love that. It would take a lot of trial and error though to make sure all the platforms will work in a side-scroller form, but I still think it would be worth it. So if someone wants to make an accurate recreation of their favorite N64 game levels, Stage Studio could include the tools to finally make it happen. You could finally fight on top of Bob-omb Battlefield without having to rely on modding. It would also be great to be able to import our trophies and use them as props for our stages. Let's say you want to make a level called Smash Museum, built to look like you're fighting in a museum that pays tribute to Smash Brothers, having figures of the characters or even recreations of smaller stages from the games in the background. Well, just customize your trophies by resizing them to be placed in the background, and there they are. You have like a perfect stage to be a tribute to all your favorite Smash fighters, or heck, maybe even make an entire arena out of a trophy. Similar to how in Melee you have these events where you gotta fight on top of trophies of Goomba, Majora's Mask, and Entei. I always thought those scenes were fun and wondered why can't we ever make our own like that. Just place the trophies around and resize them. Of course, you'd have to do a lot of messing with the camera and geometry placements with the boundaries to make sure the characters will stay on top of the trophy, but I still think that would be worth it for those who can handle it. So you just keep doing test fights until the stage feels like it's functional to move around on. And imagine making your own sequel or successor to Poke Floats, where you have the trophies just floating around, coming in and out at a certain time, and you have the platform from one to another, or recreating epic fights from past games like Groudon vs. Kyogre from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, as players hop from one giant Pokemon to another. Giving players this kind of control in stage building and customizing would give new purpose to the trophies and give players better encouragement to keep coming back and try collecting them all. I mean, Nintendo gave us a taste of what it'd be like to make our own games with Mario Maker, so why can't they do it with Smash Brothers? I'd rather with Smash Bros. It be a side feature instead of an entire game built around it, but it would still be neat. I'd love to see how creative, dedicated Smash Bros. Fans could be. They no longer would have to worry about breaking the law and knowing how to mod a game to make their own levels. Now Nintendo's giving them permission to make them themselves using their own dedicated tools, and I think that would be amazing. Along with a new stage builder, I feel like Smash Maker should also include a much better replacement for the Mii fighters. I'm sorry to those who absolutely love the Miis, but I was never a fan of the Mii fighters. Getting custom gear for fighters is a great idea, but why does it have to be limited to such bland and lifeless bobbleheads instead of the characters we actually bought the game for? I want to get actual props and color palettes to swap around for the All-Star fighters, not the Miis. Come on, Nintendo worked with Bandai Namco on this game. Their later editions of Tekken and Soul Calibur had some great customization modes, so why can't Smash Bros. Get the same? I am so tired of looking through the alternate costumes and skins and thinking, I could make better skins than these. Well, Smash Maker's character editor would be a great way for people to finally make the characters look the way they want them to. Take a character like Mario, per se. Let's say he has an alternate costume where he wears a black hat and overalls. You like the idea of Mario wearing a black hat and overalls, but you don't like how gray it looks. It doesn't look dark enough, or maybe you don't like the shirt he's wearing. You don't like how he's wearing white with black instead of red with black. Well, now you can customize it to suit your style. So just use the color palette to change the slider, to change the tone and color and intensity of different parts of the character, and voila. I understand that some creators will definitely have some differences, and there might be some limitations. For some reason, Sega has the rule that Sonic must always be blue, so yeah, unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to change much of Sonic's fur color, but otherwise, there's still many other things you can do with him. Change his shoes, have different accessories from other games, whether it's Sonic Adventure or Sonic Boom, and just all these little nods of previous games he was in. And so, yeah, I think it would be fun to see people make their own custom appearances and skins for these characters. But one thing I can't stand about games that have custom characters is when it takes up limited storage. So, like, sometimes they have it where you can only save up to, like, 4 per character or something like that. Or, like in Soul Calibur, you can only save up to 100 customs. So, that doesn't really help if you're one who just loves creating this stuff non-stop. Eventually, you reach that limit and realize, darn it, I can't make any more unless I delete some of my favorites. And that can always suck. So, I say players should be able to make as many custom appearances as they want, as long as their micro SD cards can handle it. I would also like to see custom accessories, outfits, and more for individual or shared fighters. For instance, Mario and Luigi could have shared unlockables, where only they can use them. So they could get accessories and custom parts based on their previous adventures, or alternate outfits, whether it's the wing cap from Super Mario 64, the alternate costumes from Mario Party 2, Flood, the Poltergust, and the power-up suits from many previous games. Have characters like Peach and Daisy get their sport costumes from Tennis, Olympics, and Golf Super Rush. Not only would alternate costumes be great, but alternate skins with voice clips and custom moves would also be a great replacement for Echo Fighters and clone characters. Instead of having characters like Dr. Mario or Dark Pit waste character slots, just make them into a custom unlockable for Mario and Pit, so players can choose if they want them in the roster or not. It would also be a great way to bring in some more clone fighters that haven't been introduced in the game yet, like Dry Dowser or Metal Sonic, and more. Similar to the feature in Sonic Battle or Tekken Tag Tournament 2, where you gotta create or customize your own custom robot to have many moves and stats from other fighters. Wouldn't it be great if Smash Bros. Allowed us to have our own version of that? Remember the fighting Polygon team from Smash Bros. 64? What if we got to make our own fighting Polygon? You get to choose it to have the base, the stance, and the animations of a default character, but change their head and body shapes to resemble low-poly versions of pre-existing characters. We can make our own little monstrosity out of all these low polys and give them each different commands for button presses and button tilts, so with this you could make a character with your favorite movesets. Ever wanted a character who could use Kirby's copy ability while using a Falcon kick or something? Well, now you can. The possibilities could be endless, from customizing their hits, smashes, specials, throws, and taunts. As for returning modes, it would be neat to get a reimagining of Adventure Mode, but with more inspiration from past games. Instead of being mostly a clone of Classic Mode, it would be nice for it to be a compilation of worlds from other games reimagined in 3D, like the Mario level from Adventure Mode. Bring in stages like Hyrule Field, Hop Star from Kirby, or Green Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog, etc. Have more enemies from their respective games scattered throughout the levels, along with background cameos from friendly faces that aren't playable in the game. Bringing back Smash Run would also be great as well, along with adding an online multiplayer function. Maybe even a few extra maps as well. If they were to make an entirely brand new mode, I'd love to see a 3D Smash mode. There's always something neat about seeing a classic 2D series finally make the leap into 3D. Just look how excited people were to finally see Kirby step out of the 2D plane with the reveal of Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Isn't it about time that Smash Bros. Made its own mode like that, where players can do the same? Playing Smash Bros. With a rotatable camera and enhanced moves to make 3D controls and platforming sync with the characters' movesets would be a neat and never-before-seen way to experience the classic Smash gameplay. It would also be a neat way of seeing how it would feel like to play a 3D platformer as characters who've either never gotten one or haven't seen a 3D game in forever, like Donkey Kong. As for new characters, there's a lot of characters who a lot of people might have really been hoping to see in this new Smash Brothers, and unfortunately with the reveal of Sora, a lot of people's hopes were either crushed or finally realized, but for me, there's still plenty of characters I would have loved to have seen, and there's many characters I would have easily given up for their presence. So for characters I would have loved to have seen in a new Smash Bros. Game, here are the options. So there's, when it comes to guest characters, there's Rayman, Shantae, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy from Sonic the Hedgehog. Those are like the 5 out of the top of my head, but then when it comes to the Nintendo characters, there's Lanky Kong. I'm not kidding, I'd love to see Lanky Kong. Crystal from Star Fox, and Paper Mario. And I'm sure there's a lot of other characters I would love to see, but I don't want to be here all day trying to think of them. But out of the top of my head, those are characters I would love to see in Smash Brothers. And so, finally, the last thing I'm going to include on this is a very hypothetical, experimental idea. Like, I don't see it ever happening, but hey, one can dream, right? So, what if Nintendo made a new peripheral that could work with a future Smash Bros. Game, similar to how Nintendo added Labo VR integration with Ultimate to watch matches in 3D? Well, what if Nintendo someday made an augmented virtual reality headset that worked with the Switch or the Switch's future successor? There could be a separate mode where the players wear a VR headset with a camera built in. It could allow players to turn whatever environment they're looking at and have miniature versions of the characters show up and fight in real life. Let's say you're looking at a piano. Well, you have the headset on, the camera's looking at it, and all of a sudden the characters spawn on top of the piano and you get to use the control stick to play Smash Brothers in real life. It's like you're actually witnessing these tiny characters running around beating each other up in your living room. So there's just so many environments you could do this with, whether it's your living room, a backyard, or even some family gathering. There's a lot of fun that could be had with such a feature and gimmick. It'd also be neat to have a mode where you can use your arms as a controller, like a Kinect game. to physically swipe the characters off screen, like you're fighting off a giant army of ants that are attacking you. So, whether you're just punching them or flicking them away like tiny ants, that would be a mode full of chaotic fun that I'm sure a lot of kids would enjoy. Maybe even a first-person mode that shows what it would be like to fight these characters in person, from a towering, intimidating character like Ganondorf to a short puff like Kirby. And that was my list for features and ideas I would love to see in a future Smash Bros. Entry. Did you enjoy this list? What would you love to see in a future Smash Bros. Game? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Well, I for one am excited to play a Sora in Smash Bros. And it's just kind of sad to know that after that, that's it. So, I guess that's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching, have a nice day, and thank you so much Nintendo, Sakurai, and all the workers and companies involved in making such an unforgettable video game crossover series. Thank you.